Hello again and welcome back to our course on Excel 2019 Advanced. Earlier on in the course we looked very briefly at table styles, and in this section I'd like to take a bit more time looking at table styles in more detail. I'm still looking at the order details table on the invoice, and the style we've got there is one of the standard ones, and it's highlighted in the table styles gallery up there on the ribbon. Now, once you've selected a style, you have the Table Style Options group where you can make some fundamental changes to the style, such as banding of rows or banded columns if you want. But you can also make some much more detailed changes to an existing style, as well as creating our own styles. So let's start out by customizing this style first. Now, as a general rule, if you're starting from an existing style and you want to customize it for your own purposes, I think it's always a good idea to make a copy of the one that you're going to customize rather than dive straight in and change the original. And this is very easy to do in Excel 2019. All you need to do is right-click on the style that you're starting with and select Duplicate. Now, my duplicated style gets a default name of Table Style Medium 9-2, which was the original name of that style. And I'm going to change that name to make it a lot easier to identify as mine. So I'm going to add my initials on the front. And I'm also just going to remove that 2 as well. We don't really need that. And click on OK. Now, if I look in the gallery, you can see my style up there at the top, and you'll see my name as I hover over it. And that's the style that I'm going to apply to this table. But first, I'm going to customize it. So let's right-click and select Modify. And there are a whole load of table elements that I can customize, and I think it's a very good idea if you're interested in styling tables to just work your way through all of those elements and just see what each of them does. What I'm going to do here first though is just demonstrate one or two of them just so you can get the general idea. So for instance, the first column stripe. The stripe is currently set to 1, so if I set it to 2, and click OK, and then let's apply our style to our table. So you can see what effect that change has had. The darker stripe is 2 columns wide, and in fact the vertical banding is dark 2, light 1, dark 2, light 1, etc. So let's do another one. This time we'll select the total row, and we're going to format the total row. And I think what I'm going to do is choose a very, very dark color for the total row. So let's go to Fill. And I'm going to select this dark navy color here and click on OK and OK again. And now that total row is much darker. So I think from that you get the general idea of how this customization can work. Now, if in fact what you really wanted to do was start from scratch on a style, again, if you go back up here to the Table Styles drop down, and you'll see right at the bottom, one of the options is New Table Style. And you basically start with a completely empty style, so you can go through and you can format colors, striping, etc. So as I said just now, if you're interested in this sort of thing, I do suggest that you go through and experiment with this, as it's really quite a flexible and powerful system. Now, just one more thing I want to show you before I get to the end of tables and I set you exercise 6. And that is, if you've been working on a table and you've been doing some calculations and some styling and so on, one of the things you may want or need to do at some stage is to convert the table back to being a range again. And I did mention this earlier on, Convert to Range. It's this option here on the Design tab. Let's see what happens if I do convert to range, because a couple of very important things do happen. One of the things that happens is that you don't lose the styling that you've applied. So if you've used table styling, notice the darker totals row here, that stays exactly the same color. And the thing to note is that Excel converts the references to other cells in the formulae back to cell references and away from table references. So converting back to a range, which you may need to do, is fine. It works, of course, and maintains any styling you may have done. So that's it on tables, except for exercise 6, which I'm going to cover in the next section. So please join me for that.